What is going on, guys? We are back playing some more Surviving with Botania. Now today, guys, we're going to be automating the pure daisy. Now if we look in the Lexica Botania, this actually is one of the easy challenges that is offered. Now this works hand in hand with the two last automated setups that we've made, which would be the automated smooth stone production and the automated tree farm. Now this is mainly going to be linked to the automated smooth stone production because I do want to get more building blocks, and of course I've been building pretty consistently with living rock brick because I think it looks pretty awesome. So that's the main goal behind all of this, and we're going to be setting it up right over here. Now it's actually relatively cheap to set up, and today's setup is going to be a little bit different than a lot of setups that you'll see, mainly because we do not have the bore warp lens yet. Now, a lot of setups are affected by that, specifically the tree farm. If you guys don't know, if we look over at what a bore lens takes, it's pretty darn cheap. We've already used one of these. It's really cost effective, but if we look at one of the warp lenses, and of course you combine these two, it takes pixie dust. And to get this, we need to get into Elven Trade, which we do not have the option to do just yet. So we're going to take a little bit of a step back on this. We're not going to be using force relays or anything, but what we are going to be doing is kind of setting it up without this. So I think it'll be pretty interesting to do that. I've kind of worked through it in my head. Haven't actually set it up yet, so hopefully it works. But I know everything that we're going to need, assuming the setup works properly. It's actually really cheap, so that's a good thing. So what we can do is I'm just going to come up here and dump some of this random stuff that we're not actually going to need for the day. And we can get rid of this pickaxe up here and this bucket. So we should have a good inventory to use. So one of the first things that we need to do is make a Rannon Carpus. Now we're going to be using this to place the blocks down, namely the stone or wood. If we want to do this, this will work for either of them if you want to make living wood or living rock. So we are going to grab all of these out of here and we'll throw them in. So it's going to be our Rune of Air, our two gray petals, our two light gray petals, and where is our redstone roots? Right over here. Okay, so now we just need the seeds, and this should be getting us a, oh, this one's the hopper hawk, right. Okay, so we got the hopper hawk there. This one is the Rannon Carpus. I should have known by the colors. Should have known. So we'll use this bucket and redstone root again, orange petal, yellow petal, Rune of Earth, and seeds. And there's our Rannon Carpus. The nice thing is that I had a decent stockpile of the runes, so it actually wasn't that annoying to make these, but unfortunately we don't have any left for earth or air, so we're gonna have to go and make those anytime we need more. But now what we can do is we're going to be turning this Rannon Carpus into a floating one just because I like them more and it's relatively cheap. We're not going to be doing a floating hopper hawk though. So basically we're going to take two glowstone dust with the mystical white flower, make it a glimmering white flower, and then make a floating white flower, and then do our floating Rannon Carpus. So we have all of that set up now. We don't actually need this water bucket. We've got our living rock and our item frame that we're going to be using. We've got soul sand that will go in our hovering hourglass for the timer. 4 mana pools. We've got some stone bricks. Now the stone bricks are going to be used for the placing blocks. You can use any block that is not similar to other blocks in your base, and you guys will see what I'm talking about. I would not be able to do this with living rock brick, but we've got our chest that will go with the hopper hawk, and then we're going to be making 2 pulse mana spreaders. So we'll get these right in here and do this, keeping the trend with using the red petals, and do the redstone there to get the pulse mana spreaders. Okay, so there we go. Oh, you know what? I just forgot. We need to make the mana lenses though. Okay, so now we actually should have everything that we need to make the bore lens. We're going to need 2 of them, so we're going to be doing the 2 regular mana lenses. Pretty cheap, and get both of those. And then we are going to be setting up in here for the bore one, of course. Really cheap. Again, the only problem before with doing the bore warp lens, and I believe it actually is in that order, it actually does matter how you connect them, whether it's warp bore or bore warp, but we'll get to that later. But the only reason that that's a little bit annoying to make right now is because of the pixie dust. But now we should have everything that we're going to need. Again, hopefully I'm going to be setting this up correctly. I was just thinking about this because I've been studying for exams recently, and I was taking a little bit of a break, and I was thinking about what I should record, and this popped into my head. So we do have some living rock to build with, I believe, but we're not going to be wanting to use that too much. So the way that this is going to work, and we're going to need to snag this pure daisy right here. So let's grab that. The way this is going to work is essentially we are not going to be using the full pure daisy. Now the reason behind that is just because unfortunately we do not have the capability to do that without the bore warp lens and using force relays, and eventually we will get to that, but right now we don't have the luxury of doing that. So we're going to be setting it up right next to this right here, and I don't know, I think we can put it kind of in this wall right here, I guess. So what we're going to do is take 2 of these pulse mana spreaders, and we are going to put them down right here and right here. And then we're going to take a hovering hourglass and put it down right in the center there. Not going to fill it up yet because we don't want them to start. Then we're going to take 2 of these mana pools and put them right behind the mana spreaders. So each one's going to need its own one. Perfectly fine because we're going to be filling these up and leaving it there for a long time. So it doesn't really matter that we have both of those back here. Because we need one connected to each, of course. Even with the force relays, we'd most likely be using a setup like this. And then after that, we are going to get out our functioning flora. And I guess we can attach the bore lenses to these like so. Now, what we're going to be doing with this is because the pure daisy is going to be going right here, right in the center here, because unfortunately we can't use all of the 8 spaces around a pure daisy, we're only going to be using 6 of them, and it's going to be the 3 right here and the 3 right here. So we're going to break the blocks that we're using for these spaces right here, and we are going to place down whatever specific blocks we are going to be building with. Like I mentioned before, they just have to be blocks that are not already used frequently in your base. So we're going to be using the stone bricks, like I said, and we're going to fill those spots in right there. Now the reason we're doing this is because we need to specify where the floating ranunculus is going to place the blocks that it's got. So we can take out our, it's actually already in our inventory, our floating ranunculus, and we can place this one down right here. So we're going to take this block, the one that is between the hovering hourglass and the pure daisy. It doesn't need to be this one, it could be any block around here, but I am trying to minimize the amount of space used, and we are going to put our floating ranunculus down. And you want to make sure if it's a floating ranunculus that the block right below it is stone brick. If it's a regular one, the block below the dirt block that it's on is the stone brick in my case, but whatever block you're using. And now what this will do is it'll place down blocks on any stone brick anywhere near it in its radius when they are dropped. So if we take a look at this, I don't think we don't want it bound to those mana pools back there, but you can see it says that it will be planted on stone brick, so it is all good. Now we will be using this and binding it to something in a second, but what we're going to do is take 2 mana pools and put them at the ends here, and what this will do is it should catch these bursts of mana that are coming out of the mana spreaders, and what we can do is take that ranunculus and hook it up to one of these. So we can bind it to one of those, and of course these ones back here are going to be connected to these mana pools, so that's where that goes. And last but not least, we can put down our hopper hawk. And now the hopper hawk is going to be placed on regular dirt, so you're going to want to have, or grass blocks I should say, so you're going to want to have these 2 still being grass blocks for the pure daisy and for the hopper hawk, which can go right there. You could make a floating one if you wanted, but it's really not that important. And lastly, we can grab the chest out of here and place it down right in the center here. And if we wanted to make it even more specific, we could take the item frame right there, and we could throw down, do I have a living rock? Yes, I do. The living rock can go right there, and this should already be set to picking up only items in frames. Now this one is bound to this mana pool right here. It actually doesn't need to be bound to one just because you know, it doesn't have that big of a radius. I believe the radius goes from 6 to 10 when it's bound to something, and it's getting mana, but really a radius of 6 is more than enough. These won't pop off that much. Now what we need to do is take this mana tablet right here and use this to bring over some initial mana to some of these places over here. So this mana pool right here is going to get switched over, and I might need to do some refilling of this soon, but this should be sucking up, oh my gosh, I forgot. Is it this one over here that needs to be turned off? Yeah, it did get some mana, but yeah, so this one actually isn't set to anything specific, so we do need to get this off. So let's grab some of our wood from over here, and we can make an easy lever and just flip it off. So there we go. That should turn it off, because it should have a redstone root, so we can throw that in there. It should be able to collect some. We don't really need a ton from this. Okay, so we'll leave it like that. Now what we're going to do is bring it over here, And mainly the ones that we want it to go into would be this and this one. So we'll throw the mana tablet in there, and let me pick it up and see how much we drained in there. We can drain a little bit more. I don't want to drain a ton in there. I can split it between the two for now because it doesn't need that much mana. We can throw this one in here and pick it up. Let's see. Okay, so we can put a little bit more mana in this one, and then we are going to want a little bit of mana in each of these ones in the back over here. So I don't think this really has any mana left in it. Yeah, okay, so that doesn't really have any mana left in it. I will suck up a little bit more from over here and put it in those two just because that will allow some of our functioning flora to run. Mainly the one that we want to run right now is going to be the Ranuncarpus, which is currently bound to this one over here, and the Hopperhawk is also bound to that one. Okay, we want this one to be bound to this one then, because we do not want them both taking mana from the same one. And this one needs a little bit of mana in there, and might as well throw a little bit of mana in there too. This one will get more than enough mana, but now it actually should be ready to go. So all we need is to give it a little bit of stone. Now, this is where the full automation is a little bit hazy in this. So I don't think I'm going to set this up today. I don't really have any great ideas for this, but I believe it takes 80 seconds from stone being placed down to, you know, being around the pure daisy to actually get fully changed into the living rock. So it wouldn't actually be that bad to set up a hovering hourglass to, you know, drop a bunch of stone or drop, I guess it would only be drop 6 stone and allow this to run. And we could pretty easily hook it up to this chest right over here. And I might do that contraption off camera, but what we're going to do for now is just throw this stuff down and verify that it actually works. So let's get 6 of the stone, and we can throw this down over here. And the only problem becomes this Hopperhawk picking it up. Okay, so that's actually, as I suspected, being an issue. So I don't know any great workarounds for that other than moving it further away. Or just hooking these two up in a certain way. But what we can do is, what is this bound to right now? Let's see, because I really want to test this out. This is bound to that mana pool. I wonder if there's any way to bind it to something just like that's not that mana pool, since I don't want it to be going. I could always flip it off with a lever. There's no real issue, so I might do that right now. We should have some sticks in our inventory. We do. Grab out some residual cobblestone. Let's make another lever and let's flip this off. I might have to move it over a couple blocks just so that those don't interfere, but that should flip that off right there and it should be good to go. And we can throw down our 6 stone. It should get picked up by the Ranuncarpus and placed down. There we go. And now that it's been placed down, we are good to place in our soul sand into here. Now this is 2 minutes, so it's a little bit over the amount of time that you need. I believe the only way to get it perfectly set is if you really wanted to use red sand, I think is the best way, because I think each block of red sand is 10 seconds, each block of regular sand is 1 second, and each block of soul sand is 1 minute. But a nice thing that I just figured out is if you actually hover over it with the Wand of the Forest, it tells you how much time exactly and how many blocks are in it. But this should turn in maybe like 50 seconds, and essentially the whole idea is that'll flip, it'll bore through all of these right here, the mana will get caught here. Eventually I will have to refill it over there unless we can have a way to even it out between these two, but these really won't fire that much. If we really wanted to, at any time we could turn this off. It's really no big deal. I'll set up a redstone contraption back here to turn it off. Okay, so they're all turning right now. Now obviously this is a little bit slow, A, because we put it in late, and B, because it is going to be 40 seconds over anyway. But I just want to verify that they will be able to break these. The blocks will shoot out a little bit. The Hopperhawk will put them in here, and we will be done. And then we can hopefully check everything off in the book. Now you do get bonus points if you end up automating the stone production and hooking them up together. Obviously we haven't hooked them up together, but I don't think that'll be too much of an issue. And I guess I want to see how this looks, putting this down back here, just kind of adding a backstop to it. I guess it would look a little bit better if we fixed these blocks right behind the mana pools too. But other than that, I think the base, it's not really a base, but the area is starting to come together. So we're almost done here. We'll get the bore coming out. Now keep in mind, if you don't catch it with a mana pool, it could bore through extra stuff. So just something to keep in mind if you don't want to destroy your base when you're trying to set this up a little bit. So yeah, it should be coming down to the wire here. And I really can't wait to get the relays for that. Okay, so it did catch it. Those got in there. It got picked up. Oh, okay, so that is another thing that we got to be careful about. So the living rock is getting picked up by this because of timing. Interesting. I wonder if there's any way to set this to only pick up certain things. Huh. So when those get broken, they don't get picked up by this fast enough. Well, they sort of do. Huh. They do when it gets broken normally, but they don't when it gets broken by the bore lens. Interesting. I will have to look into that. It shouldn't be an issue once we get the bore warp lenses in, because we can set this up a little bit differently. But for now, this is going to be the setup. It's not the worst thing in the world if that gets picked up, because we don't really need that much living rock if we're AFKing here. But yeah, so I think that's going to be the setup for today, guys. I know it's a little bit clunky. It does become a little bit of an issue setting stuff up without the bore warp lens, which is quite possibly the best mana lens that is offered in Botania. But hopefully you enjoyed today's video. If you found it entertaining or informative in any way, please feel free to give it a like, as it does help me out a lot. And I want to say thank you to you guys for bearing with me with not being able to upload more than like twice every week. I have finals, you know, coming up this week. I've got one Monday, one Tuesday. Or I mean, it's one Monday, one Wednesday, one Friday, and one Saturday. And that is... The order they're going in is physics for engineers on Monday, so that's not going to be a lot of fun. Multivariable calculus on Wednesday, again, not much fun. Environmental engineering on Friday, which is not going to be that bad, and then organic chemistry, which will be absolutely horrific, on Saturday. And luckily I got out of my chemical engineering final because I did well enough in the class. So just trying to keep you guys updated on my life. Once I am home, I should be home Sunday and all set up, and that should be when the daily videos start coming out again, and those will continue all the way through mid-January, and then we'll be back to a couple of videos every week. So at least it'll be a little bit like a Christmas present for you guys. But again, I hope you guys are having a great day, and I will talk to you later.